80% of my work is teaching classes. I teach Windows internals, Windows security, and troubleshooting. And then about the 20% of my work is consulting. To be fair, this year I haven't really had time to do anything else when it comes to consulting than deploying AppLocker. It's like everywhere, everyone needs it. There's two big things to it. First of all, it's now a requirement by NATO. So if a NATO connected Windows 10 box, every Windows 10 box connected to NATO requires AppLocker. And on the other hand, Gartner says it's the most recommended thing for security for 2018. So that makes it very popular now, and people really, really want it. What I did before a lot was security audits. So I still do them, but I mean this year I just haven't had the time to do it because of just doing basically only AppLocker stuff. So I've done a lot of security audits for big banks, US banks included, hacked into a few of the biggest banks in the world. I do what's known as white hat, or let's say, it's always white hat stuff, of course, but I do what is known as a crystal box audit. So I don't do these pen tests where I would try to attack a company trying to get in. Physical security, stuff like that, that's not my cup of tea. What I do is I audit Windows installations with the team. So I do it with my customers and not like trying to hack into things like a black box mentality, but just a crystal box thing, totally transparent, do it with the customer. This session is free consulting. Normally costs you 10,000 euros. So it's a good session, okay? Finally, you have a price tag for a session. 10,000 euros, $6 million, or whatever. I'm gonna go through concepts. I'm not one of those guys that would come into your environment and start Metasploit or something and start attacking your environment, trying to find a hole you haven't fixed. I don't like that at all. It's like, I hate security stuff for two reasons. When I go to conferences, I didn't even speak about security ever. I used to do only Windows internals and troubleshooting. I started talking about security for two reasons. One, every security session I went to was just meant to scare you shitless. You walked into any session and they would start doing things like, I hack you like this, 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 and then everyone would walk out of the session like, my company sucks. Okay? So, that's one reason. The other one is totally improper configurations. I'm an OS guy. I went to a conference in Germany last year. First guy, I can hack your computer remotely like this. And he was hacking a Windows XP. Like, wow, I'm impressed. Then the next guy on stage, I am hacking your computer like this, running Windows 7 32 bits. You can't build a secure environment with a 32-bit operating system. 32-bit Windows versions don't require signed code for the kernel. You can put whatever you want it. It is impossible to secure it, okay? Can't do it. And everyone after that, the whole 2 days, every single demo after that. I can hack you like this, I can hack you like this, and every single computer that they were hacking was running admin rights. The book in 1993, Windows NT 3.1 User Guide, states that in Windows there is no security if you're running an admin. Still today I fight against this. People are running admin rights all the time. In Finland there's a big company that just lately actually posted even a YouTube video bragging that after their new system, they're using autopilot and all that cool stuff in the cloud. Everything has been so much easier now because we give admin rights to all the end users. So everyone can fix their own computers. It is so much easier. It's like, what the hell? Like even you go on YouTube on it. I mean, like this, it's like invitation to hack our environment. There will not be an easier thing to hack than that company because they're like telling everyone, we compromise every machine we have and we're actually proud of it. And we got a commercial out of it. It's like, oh my God. Okay? I normally do not interrupt other speakers. I'm a public speaker, which means I would hate it if someone would make me look bad, which means I don't want to do it to others. So there's a huge, it takes a lot of things to go wrong that I would jump in and say something. Last time I've done this was in Germany, the same conference I'm talking about. Because the last guy, I can hack any computer in this audience, like 400 people. We can hack any computer in the audience. In Windows, there is a bit in the memory. And that bit can be changed to 1, and then you don't need a password. That is true. Even Windows 10 Enterprise has a bit in memory. So if you have direct memory access, you can find the bit. It's going to take you ages to find it, but theoretically you can do this. So we have this device, we are selling this device. It's called Capture Card Gateway, access to locked computers. We can hack any machine in the audience with this device. And then I was like, not easily would I do it, but I was like, I'm sorry, but like you mean any computer in the audience that has a PCMCIA slot? Yes. It's like what? Okay. Do we have a single computer in this audience that has a PCMCI slot? There's a huge, that looks like a, aircraft carrier or something like that, but. Yeah, okay, I know. Your small laptops live on it, and yeah, I know. Anyway, like honestly, like come on. That's a very great example of this. Now they're selling it. So this used to cost $4,999. But now they know that no one has PCMCIA slots anymore, so they actually changed the price. So, what did I press? I thought I pressed buy. I did. Oh yeah, they increased it to $9,200. There's less people buying it because no one has those buses anymore, so you have to get more money out of every customer that you lure in, okay? That's one way of doing business, I guess. But like, honestly, this is what I hate. Like, Windows has 2 rules to it. You don't have admin rights, you can't have admin rights, and you need hard disk encryption, okay? If you don't have those in place, I am not impressed. I'll hack your machine. Kids will hack your machine. So that's honestly like the improper configurations. I hate it. If you get rid of admin rights, you can kill 99% of all known threats against your machine. So it's like none of those, of course it would have been a really boring conference probably. If you were just like, no, I don't have admin rights, so actually none of my demos work. Think about even Mimikatz. Yeah. Think about even Mimikatz. Everyone's freaking talking about Mimikatz all the time. Mimikatz is built by this French guy, Gentil Kiwi. And it's actually funny, I don't know if you know the background of Mimikatz, the most successful hacking tool in the world. It's actually this guy, Benjamin Delphi, wanted to learn how to code in C language. So this is his first ever C program, because he wanted to explore what the language can do. So his hobby projects. learn to code in C and create the most used hacking tool in the world. Some people are just like talented, okay? My hello world is not as successful as his. It's like I started with that, which I think everyone usually starts with, but this guy just builds Mimikatz. Now everyone's talking about Mimikatz. Mimikatz can do this, Mimikatz can do that. Like, what the hell? Mimikatz needs a privilege called Audit privilege, which allows you to connect to a user mode process's memory. You don't have it if you're not an admin. You can do anything with that. You can't do anything with that Mimikatz if you're not an admin. It should not be a problem anywhere because the book says there is no security if you're running admin. So even the whole Mimikatz concept is like it should never work. But that's what I'm meaning. I'm not talking about trying to hit my customer's environment with Mimikatz or Windows Credential Editor, or the next one, or the next one, or the next one. I'm talking about concepts. We block these things by concepts. I don't care if you have an antivirus or not. Netflix, for example, doesn't have antivirus anymore at all. It's probably the biggest company that's publicly stated that they don't use antivirus. They don't believe in it. They got rid of it. Only proactive measures like whitelisting, second generation cloud-based antivirus stuff, yes. But the traditional antivirus is not there. So, if anyone needs to contact me, I'm on Twitter. That's the easiest one. Sami Laiho. And if you want to see this stuff from a video-based training site, go to my dojo. That's $19 per month, but you can get 1 month free with that trial 2018 code. It'll give you access to all the videos and all the trainings I have, because all the trainings I teach are also videoed, which means that you can also access all the training classes. Feels very hard for me. Normally my class costs about $2,500 to $3,000 per head. And nowadays you need to sell your courses with $19. Like, world has changed, okay? Learning is very different nowadays. I also do Pluralsight, so if you need Pluralsight subscriptions, just send me an email and I can give you a 30-day code there as well. You can get it from their website as well, but that's limited for shorter time and only a certain amount of hours per day. So it's a little bit different code, all right? So, let's start going through this stuff. I have this in a list format, I'd say. I'm not a slide person. So we'll go these through topic by topic, what I would do the first thing. First of all, the concept of the hard disk encryption. I don't get it. You walk to Best Buy. No, let's do it better. Your grandmother walks to Best Buy. Your grandmother walks in. She wants to buy a new personal computer. She walks in. I would need a personal computer. What do you want to do with your computer? I will store my cookie recipes on it. It's the only thing I'm going to do. She walks out with a Windows 10 machine that has hard disk encryption. Just the cookie. Well, grandmother's cookies might be really good and secret, of course. But it's kind of funny that I still have to stand in front of security officers from huge enterprises like banks who tell me, we don't have important enough information to warrant for BitLocker. Or, we only have BitLocker on laptops. Dude, you're failing your audit there. I'm like, I'll be back whenever you fix that, because there is no security in Windows unless you have BitLocker. Now, BitLocker is not data encryption. That's the biggest problem we have. I mean, in this industry, people see BitLocker as protecting your data. Someone steals your laptop. I have physically witnessed maybe 6 or 7 laptops stolen from an airport. There's more than 880,000 laptops stolen every year from airports. So of course that's kind of the threat that we're looking at. Most people are like, someone steals my laptop, I lose my data. So I need BitLocker, okay? Now, mostly you people are quite okay here. We have a cluster of people who are in danger here. Because I can tell you, I've seen those laptops stolen. Every single time the process is the same. First of all, the funny thing is they're always stolen at the security checkpoint. just in front of TSA. It's normally always the place where they're stolen. Because that's the only place where you take your laptop, you put it through the machine, and you cannot be attending to it. I mean, it is unattended. You can't do anything. You can't tell them, like, I need to keep my hand on my laptop while it goes through X-ray. Because there, on the other end, there's a guy with an empty box of stuff. The laptop comes, it's in the box. He puts an empty box on top of the laptop and takes those 2 boxes and walks away. Every single time the same thing. Now, good thing for most of us here, I've never seen anything stolen but Macs, okay? So only Apple devices are vulnerable. Sad to say, normally always targeting women. So, such a sad truth. That is what they're looking for. Women and MacBooks, okay? So you're fine with your Surfaces, those tests. No one wants those. Come on. So, people think of this as being the reason why I want BitLocker, but people forget that BitLocker's main role is not encryption, it's integrity. You build a great configuration on Windows, and BitLocker is your glue. It's epox, it's a glue. You take your configuration and you dip it in BitLocker so that no one can change it. I don't care if you have data on that machine at all. We actually have a lot of computers that only have cloud data, so they don't even have data, but every computer needs a BitLocker. There's no exceptions to this rule. Every machine needs BitLocker. That's the epox that keeps your configuration intact. Take an example. You build a great AppLocker rule set, and you don't have BitLocker. I'll put the box with Windows PE and destroy a folder called C Windows System 32 AppLocker, and we have no AppLocker anymore. I can do whatever I want. Doesn't matter how well you've done your whitelisting, because if it's not BitLocker protected, the configuration, I can erase it. If you have group policy settings, you're managing group policy. Group policy says in the documentation of group policy that you can't use it to manage admins. Group policy is not meant for managing admins, okay? Think about this. Very, very simple example. I should have opened my... Should have opened my demo environment, but I forgot, okay? Here we go. I got a very basic domain infrastructure here in place. So that's a Windows 7 box, or let's take Windows 10, more modern, okay? We're gonna log on to this machine with a local admin, not a domain admin, but a local admin. And then we have a server here, and I'm gonna set a group policy here. I'm gonna say that in our company from now on, oops. Jesus. Third time. Yes. Okay? Group policy that sets remote desktop to be enforced. I just want people to be able to use RDP on our machines. Okay? So I'm going to enable that link. It's just a setting that's whatever is the name. Allow users to connect remotely using remote desktop services, something like that. Allow users to connect remotely by using remote desktop services. Okay? This one runs GP update. Does anyone have the courage to say that you felt a little bit of a sting when I did not use GP update / force? Sometimes I see people when I do it that go like, can't do that. Always use the force. Just a tip. If your tickets are mostly solved by GP update / force, like in many companies they are. We have a university in Finland that has a help desk, that the help desk door doesn't say help desk, it says GP update / force. Just like you walk in and that's what they're going to tell you anyway. It's like, run GP updates / force. If that's the case, or you find yourself running GP update class force because someone in your company is doing it, your AD guys need to take a course, okay? That is not designed to work like that. You put them into training, okay? I can teach them, by the way, so. Anyway, this one now is enforced, okay? So we have a setting here. The setting is here. I can't change it. It's enforced, okay? It's grayed out. I can't change it, all right? Zoom it working. So now I can't change that anymore. It's now enforced. What I do is I will go online and I will download a single Excel called Crew Policy Settings Reference, which lists all crew policy settings there are. Download it. I actually might have already had it here. I actually already downloaded, so I can make this a little bit faster. I'll just open it up in Excel, okay? I'm gonna find the setting. It was something like allow users to connect remotely. Users to connect, something like that. Allow users to connect remotely by using remote desktop services. This Excel shows you the actual registry key that is used, okay? So F deny TS connections is somewhere here. I already lost where it was. F here, this one, okay? So that's the policy. With that in mind, we will just go here, take the computer, regedit. So HKey, local machine, software policies, Microsoft, Windows NT, terminal services, F deny TS connections, right click, delete, yes please. And now there's no more policies, okay? So admins can just take off any policies unless you have BitLocker. Because if you don't have BitLocker, you get admin. If you are an admin, you can disable BitLocker. That's why we have these two rules nowadays. You need hard disk encryption. You need to get rid of admin rights. If I didn't have admin rights here, I would just boot it up with Windows PE and hack myself in. If you have BitLocker, I can't do that, okay? Now, BitLocker is the glue in a way. You have a proper configuration, you dip it in BitLocker, BitLocker keeps it intact, all right? And now, of course, the funny question there is, I always fight against AD people. I don't know if you have these categories for people here, like we do, at least. It's like workstation people, server people, AD people, networking people. I always tell networking people is the funniest group. When I teach troubleshooting, I always tell that the networking people, that's the people you always call. It's black magic. You call the networking team, say that you have a problem, they answer, they don't have a problem, it's not their problem. They put down the phone and in 5 minutes everything starts working. It's black magic. You always make the call, okay? Always make the call. Now, my AD people are always fighting against me. My AD people tell me that, Sami, you are trying to tell us that you as a local admin could win over domain admins. That's not the case. Domain admins win. No, they don't. Domain admins do not win over local admins anytime. Absolutely BS, okay? I can kick you out if I'm a local admin. You can't kick me out if you're a domain admin. You can call your boss and tell them to fire me. HR wins everyone. But this will not. So 80 people will tell you, of course, well, in 90 to 120 minutes, we win again because GP update runs. Okay? Sure. Let GP update run. Go back here, press F5, no settings here. Doesn't help. Because you have to remember, Windows only does GP update every 90 to 120 minutes during logon, during startups. But that only runs GP update, not GP update / force. GP update only reads policies that have changed. I didn't change the policy. I just took it off my machine. That'll never come back unless someone runs GP update / force. The only exception to this rule is security settings. Security settings update every 16 hours, even if they haven't changed. We can change this, and I'll show you. It's one of my auditing things as well. So we'll get back to this. So the first things first, I will not accept, if you don't have BitLocker everywhere on your workstation or endpoints, there's no reason for me to continue auditing. You are vulnerable and you can't win this, okay? Physical protections, yes, of course, you could put them in a locked cabinet, or you could put them in a basement somewhere in a data center that is highly secure, sure. You can try that. But like endpoints, they all get BitLocker, okay? No local admins. You are not allowing people to log on as admins. Not your IT guys, not your end users. No one logs on with an admin account. Because if you log on as an admin, that is it. You are both making your Windows slow and bad, so it's not just security, but also you can't control admins. It states in the security policy that admins can do whatever they want, and group policies don't apply. So you can't win it. It's impossible. On the other hand, good benefits are enormous. In 2017, 100% of IE, Edge, and Chrome-based attacks would be blocked if you're not an admin. Every single threat found during the whole year against those browsers is mitigated by you removing admin rights. Can you get rid of admin rights? You can. I run tools like Avecto. It's a company called BombGuard nowadays. So if I do, on my machine, for example, I'm not an admin. But if I need to change the IP address of this machine, which should not work, because I can't do it without being an admin or a network configuration operator group member, if I go here and say, disable this, it works, although it's not supposed to work. I mean, I'm not an admin, so this should not work. I can go change the IP addresses, which is an admin thing. Can't do it, but I can. I couldn't run Hyper-V management, but it just runs. These are all done by a tool called DefendPoint. So what it allows me to do is play with tokens. Process Explorer. They just made a deal with the big US bank. Sold this to 550,000 endpoints. Sure hope they got some volume licensing. It is $30 per machine. So it does cost you $30 to fix that problem of not being an admin. I have a company in Finland that employs 120 devs, nothing else, only devs. Pure development company, nothing else. And I got rid of their admin rights. So if you're saying you can't get admin rights of devs or kids or stuff like that, yes, you can. Kids are hard, but devs you can. Okay? So if you look at the tokens of these processes here, my normal Explorer, for example, Excel here, for example, Excel has a token, so security says that I am just a limited user, nothing else. If you look at my Hyper-V management, which is running here, it's still the same user. I'm still Sami Laiho, like I was for my Excel, but it adds the administrator's group membership for that process only. Okay? So we do process and task level delegation of control, but it costs you $30. There were different options. I would say Avecto is one of the big companies. Then there was Beyond Trust, if anyone knows that. Now you don't have any options anymore, because BombGuard bought both. First, during summer, they bought Avecto, and a few months after that, they both beyond trust. So POMGAR owns the two best that we had. So it's actually hard for me to figure out what to test it against when my customer says we need to audit a few different options. It's hard to say what. I can say absence or Viewfinity and I'm rest assured at least the product I want wins, because those suck. But it honestly is hard. I can't figure out what to compare it with anymore, okay? It's just POMGAR. This is what I start every conversation with my customers with. When we start talking about security, this is from yesterday. So let's scroll down a bit. I always do the same thing. I draw this triangle, which has three things: security, usability, and cost. And then I tell my customer, you can choose two, but you can't get three. You can create a secure one that will be usable, but it will cost you something. You can create a cheap and usable one, but it won't be that secure. You can create a cheap and secure one, but it won't be that usable. And we pick where your priorities are. Can't get three, can't get two. So that's the main thing. If you're an admin, all bets are off. Windows security does not apply. Admins do whatever they want, okay? What about domain admins? Well, the first most important rule here is domain admins are only used to log on to domain controllers, never anywhere else. It's a little bit difficult with Azure, because in Azure you don't have the concept of domain admins, you have the concept of global admins. You don't log on daily using global admins. If you have an E5 license on Azure, you can use a thing called device admins. That's like a workstation admin group. That's nice. But if you have an E3, it's really difficult. But on a traditional domain, which I normally audit, one thing I need to make sure every time is that you are not allowed to log on as a domain admin to anything else but the domain controllers or what are known as privileged access workstations. Pause. Whenever you log on to an endpoint with domain admin, you lose the whole environment. Someone steals your hash, throws the hash against your DCs and destroys your Active Directory. Piece of cake. That is the silliest thing you can do, is to log on with a domain admin to a workstation, okay? So what do you do instead? You do like we do here in this lab environment. We have a group. Let's see here. We got accounts, classroom computers, student A, admin access. We got well actually I'm going to show it to you from the editor, it's better. There is a very good group policy setting that can be used in two ways. It's good to understand how it works. Security settings, restricted groups, this one. Restricted groups make sure that classroom admins group always belongs to computers administrators group. Okay? And that is what is used to manage the computers. You never log on as a domain admin. You can use this in two ways, so it's kind of misleading sometimes. People might miss how it actually works. So if you right-click and add a group, now if you say, let's say that administrators will always have G classroom admins, if you do it like this, that enforces it, okay? Means it kicks out everyone, including domain admins, which I don't want to do. Many people asked me this yesterday, and I want to emphasize on this. I do not kick domain admins out of the administrators group. I block them with group policies so that they cannot log on. I do not remove the group. Just easier for you in the future, okay, that you don't remove it. Just block it with policies, don't remove the group itself. Now this one would remove it. So this one would say classroom admins will be the only member of administrators group. The only one you can't kick out is the administrator, the built-in one. Okay? If you use it the other way, it works different. So if you do it the other way, like I've done here, where you say that this classroom admins needs to be a member of admins, then it's an append operation. It doesn't remove the other admin groups or admins, it just adds this to it. So the top box, and that enforces and kicks out everyone else. The bottom box just adds it to the current list. Okay? Very, very different ways of using it. So domain admins are only allowed to log on there. So how do we block it? Well, we have to do policies. So where's the one I showed? It's this one. I showed this yesterday. I'm just going to show you a slide from here. It's another conference, but I just want to show you how those policies actually look like. So those policies look like this. Deny access to this computer from the network, deny logon as a batch job, deny logon as a service, deny logon locally, deny logon through terminal services, domain admins on every one of these boxes. Okay? I do also always audit the amount of domain admins you have. That gets crazy sometimes. I've seen companies where you have 2,000 domain admins. We did the audit and now there's 2. But it's like, that is of course horrible. You remember you need domain admins only for a very limited amount of stuff. You need domain admins for doing things on the domain controller. It's like the only thing there is. Adding new domain controllers, removing domain controllers, stuff like this. It's very rare. When you create group policies, you can just you can just delegate control of group policies. Don't have to be a domain admin to manage group policies. Very, very underused thing, very old one, but still people don't use this half as much as they should, which is the delegation of control wizard. Okay? So for example, for this domain, I will delegate control and say that now, from now on, G classroom admins can add these computers to the domain. Because otherwise, I don't want people using domain admin accounts to join computers to domain. Delegate it, okay? So you will need this a little bit to support this case. Enterprise schema admins, I will fail you on your audit instantly, and I'm sorry to say, but I'm willing to bet that it's about 80% of everyone sitting here. I will fail your audit the time when I see that you actually have someone in your schema admins as a member or your enterprise admins. These groups never have any members, okay? That is a big stamp on your audit report if you have people there. These groups are always empty. Bigger companies taking care of your environments, outsourcing companies, they usually have a scheduled task that will clear these out. Because sometimes their admins forget something there, they have a scheduled task that just cleans it out. You never have people there. You need enterprise admins only for site-based group policies, adding a DHCP server, or adding a domain to the forest, or removing one. Schema admins only to extend the schema. If you need those, you add yourself to the group, do what you need, take yourself out. These are way too dangerous to have any people in them because they can control the whole Active Directory forest structure. Make sure they're clear, okay? Make sure there's no one there. Question?
Quick thing, can you delegate control over the membership of those groups to a specific limited account?
Not everything, no. Well, you don't have to be a domain admin. You have to be a domain admin in the root domain of your forest to be able to add someone in those groups.
So the scheduled job has to run as a domain admin?
Well, the schedule doesn't have to run as a domain admin. What you can do is, you can delegate if you just put these like in a little bit smarter location than users. Just create an OU for this, and then on that level, what you can do is you can do delegate control, and you can delegate this to. Let's use the same group we just had, G Classroom admins, next, and modify membership of a group. Okay? You need to take care of bash the hash. Now people forget this all the time. People tell me constantly that bash the hash is a problem. Bash the hash is not a problem. Bash the hash is a function inside of the kernel. Bash the hash is a built-in thing in Windows. Bash the hash is the way that in the old days we would access remote computers. When you here want to manage his computer, if you don't have a domain account, what would happen you have to remember this is 1993, which means we were using hub networks, so it was super easy to eavesdrop on anyone. So we can't say, you're admin 1 with password 1. You can't go knocking on his computer saying, hi, this is admin 1, my password is password 1. Because that would then be eavesdropped by anyone. So they created this method called pass the hash. You log on successfully to your machine. Based on your username and password, there is a hash value created and stored in the LSAS process's user mode memory. And then when I want to access your machine, that hash is passed to you, hence we call it pass the hash. And we will reference that hash against your hash value for the same user account, okay? If they match, we know you know the password and you're let in. Now this becomes a problem because of pass the hash attacks, which means I'll steal the hash. And now remember, if you would do that silly thing that I just said, you would log on as a domain admin to this box. I steal your hash. I can throw it at anything in the environment. I get everywhere, not just workstations, servers, domain controllers, anything. I'll just pass the hash, use it as an attack. How do we get rid of it? Well, you can have a really cool new feature called Credential Guard if you have Windows 10 Enterprise, but not all of us have Windows 10 Enterprise or Education. If you have it, then in a way, it's not a problem for domain accounts. So you see that I can show it to you here. Proc dump, I'll dump the process memory of LSAS. Works just fine. I can create the dump, I can use Mimikatz. Let's do proc dump against LSA ISO, which is protected on top of what's known as a secure kernel in Windows 10, Enterprise or Education. I can't access it. My domain account hashes are safe in this. So a few things here. First of all, can you say every computer in your environment is a Windows 10 Enterprise or Education? That would have to be exactly perfect, okay? I mean, every freaking machine needs to be on that level. And now it's funny. If you read this documentation very carefully, you see that it says it only protects domain accounts. Local accounts are still in the old LSAS. So even if you have been protected by Credential Guard, that doesn't apply to local accounts, only the domain accounts. Why doesn't Microsoft fix local accounts? This is funny. They don't fix it because there's nothing to fix. It's not a problem. Why isn't it a problem? Because you were supposed to read the manual. Back in 1993, Windows NT 3.1 manual says, for security reasons, you cannot have the same password for administrator on 2 different computers. It's there in the book. Now Microsoft thinks that everyone reads their manuals. So they don't even fix it because it's not a problem. No one has this problem. It's in the book. And at some point they figured out that actually quite many customers have the same password on multiple computers. So they created what's known as LAPS, LAPS, Local Admin Password Solution. Deploy that, it'll take care of randomizing your passwords. Very badly misunderstood. I had people yesterday, quite many people yesterday, asking me this. We find it so tedious now, because we used to use an admin account that we know the password, and now every time you manage a computer locally, you need to go and fetch the password from Active Directory, and it takes a long time. I haven't touched a lapse managed account in like 2 years. The lapse's main idea is to randomize the passwords on those admin accounts, but you don't use those admin accounts ever. You use a domain account called Workstation Admin or whatever. That's the one you use to manage your endpoints. It's like, come on, no. You very misunderstood the concept of lapse if you start now making your work slower and harder than ever before. Okay? Security is not it's not supposed to make your lives harder, okay? So like a lapse is there, it makes sure those are all randomized. You don't use them, okay? Don't touch them. Domain accounts are protected by Credential Guard, okay? So in a perfect environment, you don't have to worry about this. What you can do as a very quick band-aid, just a very quick fix, what you can do is super simple. I showed this from my own machine. If you don't do anything else, do at least this, okay? So go home now and implement this. You can fix lapse later, but go home and instantly do this, which is deny access to this computer from the network and use a pseudo group called local account and member of administrators group. This is a quick fix that can be done from Windows 8 or Windows 7 with a hotfix. Windows 7 requires a hotfix for you to have this there, but Windows 10 and Windows 8 have it already. That needs to be there. This blocks pass the hash for local accounts because admin 1 with password 1 happens to have the same password on that one, admin 1 with password 1, but you are a local account and a member of the administrators group, so you can't access the network, okay? Don't worry, it won't hurt your domain. It's an AND rule, okay? Local account and a member of administrators group.
How do we handle a company like mine is 99% mobile, and we use the local admin for the help desk to install applications in the field?
Why? What? I'm wondering why you do that. You can have a domain-based account that is a member of the local administrators group that can do the installation, or do you really require, don't you allow them to use cached credentials? Do they really have to be connected to Active Directory to be able to?
They're using Azure AD. So.
Oh, they're using Azure AD. Well, then they should be using device admins. I mean, there's a concept but now I don't know if you have E3 or E5, okay?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes, okay. So E5 it's easy because there's a concept called device admins, which is the equivalent of having a workstation admin in a group like the environment you saw me having, the Active Directory.
The E3, the admin or the user?
No, the admin, not the user. User is supposed to be a limited user. The users don't get admin rights. IT does. And that's going to be an Azure AD group, which is joined to your local administrators group, which means that this is not a problem against that, okay? Because this one is, that's Azure AD, okay? So that's a quick fix, but not the real fix, okay? Not the lapse is your answer, okay? We need a few more things, so that's not all, but I'll show you a few others in just a second. Password policies. What kind of passwords do you use and require users to use? I love these, I love biometrics, honestly. Biometrics is awesome. This one here, for example, signs me my problem is I was actually going to leave this here and go to the restroom just before the session. So I'm I locked this and I'm should I go I'm going to go to the restroom. And I didn't even know that it already locked on, okay? Because the camera saw me, and I was thinking for a second, should I go to the restroom or not? And it's opened already, okay? So there is a thing called device unlock. There's a thing called dynamic lock, which I've seen actually quite many US companies use. It's more popular here than in Europe. So dynamic lock is cool. The only problem is that to make dynamic lock work? What it does is you have to pair a Bluetooth device with your Windows, and when you leave from your computer out of the about 10 meter range of your Bluetooth, it'll automatically lock the box, okay? So many people think you have to have a mobile phone, even worse, a Windows phone. Worse, sorry, but I mean, hey, I'm from Finland. I'm Nokia land. Come on, like there was a great mobile operating system used on a lot of devices built by a great big company that once existed. Still does. By the way, if you buy Nokia phones now, I saw a lot of people here, you have Nokia phones. Remember, those are not Nokia phones, okay? The brand is bought by another company. They have an exclusive right for it for the next 3 years to sell mobile phones that say Nokia. It has nothing to do with our dear Finnish Nokia, okay? Now, it doesn't need to be a mobile phone. It can be anything with Bluetooth. So now I have a great idea. You have to deploy dynamic lock everywhere, but you have to buy all your employees Nike sneakers. Because Nike sneakers have a Bluetooth beacon in it, okay? So you can pair your shoes. And think about it, because people actually leave mobile phones sometimes next to their computer and go and get coffee, but you got your sneakers on. That's awesome. This is not a novel invention, because I saw this with young kids working as interns in Redmond for Microsoft. And they had these small Bluetooth devices, beacons, and they put them on their shoes. But then I saw Nike selling these cool new Bluetooth connected shoes, so I was instantly like, I need those. I'm gonna dynamic lock my machine. Try to go biometrics as much as possible, honestly, that is the future. I use biometrics, you've seen this demo more than enough times, okay? This is me, my normal user, and then if I need to elevate, I have 2 fingers registered. One is my limited user and the other one is my admin user, okay? I love doing the demo. Feels so good, you know, and Microsoft has told me multiple times that, Sami, if you did not win Best Speaker at Ignite many years, you would not be allowed like a mile closer to Orange County Convention Center. But I still love doing it, you know, you have like 2,000 people in the room, and you have Microsoft like, there is a speaker code of conduct, you are not allowed to do this. And like my only demo is like, giving the finger. Now it's even better that he's recording this, so it's even on the video. Okay, you give it the finger, and you authenticate as an admin, okay? So that's how I do it, all right? I used to do this on my Windows Hello as well, so I started doing this. First they dared me, don't dare a Finn, okay? Do not dare a Finn, that never ends up well. Anyway, so I was dared, because I did this demo at Ignite, giving the finger. And then they said in the audit, in the reports or the evals, it said, we will come back to Ignite next year in Atlanta just to see Mr. Laiho do this with facial detection, okay? And I had to like get a normal face and an admin face, which is, I have a limited face, that's by design, but like I need an admin face, okay? So I started doing this to my machine, okay? Whenever I need admin rights, this would be my admin face, okay? It has to cross your eye. The hand needs to cross your eye, otherwise it won't detect you as a different user. So now I can have a normal user and an admin. But now my problem is I live in airport lounges, okay? I had a Surface Book. For the first time in my life, I had a sexy machine from Microsoft, okay? I had a Surface Book. My life changed, because I was in the airport lounge, and suddenly, Apple people started to speak to me. That had never, ever happened before, okay? I had Apple people come to me, like, I have my Surface Book, and they would be like, oh, hello. Is that the new Surface Book? I was like, yes, it is. Is it really more expensive than a MacBook? Like, yes, it is. Oh, I'm so interested. Must be great then. Like, finally, I had like Apple friends, okay? And then I'm on my machine like, so I'm losing my friends. Come on. Not good. So I made up this. That's why my local admin is always called Homer, because it's like, dough. It's a lot better, and I can be on my machine like this, and then the Apple people look at me, and I'm like, oh, you know, Windows. Biometrics, that's the future. Password policies, create difficult passwords. There are a few mathematical things you need to learn. My passwords are always based on the consumption of alcohol, okay? I've done this for ages. This is a sure way of me remembering this. So Finnish people will understand more about this than many of you, but my passwords are like this. Jukka joi 47 kaljaa. Okay? It says in Finnish, Jukka drank 47 beers. I will never forget the day when Jukka drank 47 beers, first of all. It has all required things. Small, large letters, numbers, special characters. After 90 days, does Jukka drink 48 beers? Maybe. I won't toast you on your audits with that, okay? Honestly, I don't care. That's not your problem anymore. Even if your users would change that to 48, 49, 50, whatever, that's not the problem. They have so great passwords now. There are limits to this. And one very important thing what many people forget, numbers need to be in the middle, always. Remember this is very important. Numbers are always in the middle. That's a technical thing, because your passwords are hacked against different kinds of password dictionaries and stuff like that. If you, like Western cultures say things like summer 69, I say Sami 79, I'm born in 79. Or one password, okay? People put numbers in the beginning or at the end, which means we take a word and then we just try to calculate different kinds of numbers in the end or the beginning. There's only two options, start and finish. Start and end, okay? But if you put it somewhere else, we all know that there's more possibilities now. Plus, it's a lot harder for you to hack those with dictionaries. So always numbers in the middle, okay? They need to be more than 7 characters, that's for sure, because we still have a thing on Windows called LAN manager hashes. Now many of you will tell me, no, we block it, we have a policy. Okay, you do. How do you know it? If you come to my machine like this is one of your machines. How do you know that that policy on that machine does not prevent you from using those old LAN manager passwords? Are you going to first investigate the registry to see the value before you log on? I would still protect myself, okay? How to protect yourself? Well, if you have important accounts, then there are a few things. First of all, if you have a password like this, QWERTY123, that's going to be saved technically as a LAN manager hash, and that will be saved in this format, QWERTY1 and another password 23. Those passwords are always saved in 7-character sets. And actually, you can have passwords that are easier to hack if they're 11 characters than 7 characters. Now, some of you have been on my sessions before. You can't answer this, okay? 7 characters plus 4 characters. We hit those separately. We can hack them separated from each other. So we hack that 4 character in a second, saying pson, which makes your whole password vulnerable to a dictionary attack, because this is one of the most used passwords in the world. Bart Simpson. Now you're vulnerable because you have a longer password than that you would have 7, okay? So there are these things. How do you prevent this from happening? Make the 15th password character. If you use 15 characters, no computer can create a LAN manager hash. Use 15 characters for your important accounts. That's for you a way to make sure whatever happens, those weak password things will not be created, because MS-DOS did not support more than 14 characters. Other one would be put a Unicode character in. That also prevents creation of these old passwords. But that's a little bit tricky when you're in a web kiosk or something and need to do like Alt 254, whatever, okay? So I need your password policies to take this into account. 3-tier structure. This one I showed yesterday, and this one needs to be on every possible environment I ever have anywhere. I will not live without this. Every environment in the world that I work with is built like this, even my home. You have 3 layers, or Microsoft calls them tiers. Access, which is your workstation's endpoints, servers, which is your SQL, whatever servers, and then you have domain controllers. Then you put in policies like this. Domain admins are only allowed to log on to domain controllers, nowhere else. Server admins are not allowed to log on to anywhere else but servers, and workstation admins can only log on to workstations. The 3-tier model makes it so that now let's say Omar, this would never happen, this is purely theoretical, but let's say someone would hack Omar's machine, okay? Now, if they get access to Omar's admin account, we only lose a tier. Unless it's a domain admin when you lose the whole game, but like, that's the idea here. We isolate things so that we are more well protected against pass the hash. Also, people can't do silly things like, if I have a local workstation that's compromised, I call you in help desk and say, I'm in Orlando, literally in front of like 80 people, I'm doing a very important presentation, my computer doesn't work, can you try to remotely log in and fix? Then you log on. If you log on with the domain admin, I'll just put the scheduled task that says, make Sami a domain admin now. Net group domain admin, Sami add domain. Leave it there. You log on, you run my script, make me a domain admin. That's also things that this blocks, because I will not allow you to log on as a domain admin. You will use your workstation admin and you will not be able to make me a domain admin, okay? I always say Credential Guard sadly does not block stupidity, okay? Credential Guard would be very successful if it could block stupidity, all right? So this helps in that case as well. Always this in place everywhere. Technically done like this. Management workstations are the only things that allow logon locally for domain admins. So these are known as privileged access workstations, PAWS. On my own machine, that means that if I need to manage my environment, I can't do it from this machine. But what I can do is go to my Hyper-V and run my PAW. This is my privileged access workstation. It's a virtual machine running on this machine. From there I can manage, not from this. If you talk to Azure technicians from Microsoft, they would tell you that there is no way to manage Azure except from a Windows 10 workstation. There's no RDP allowed for anyone else but you as customers. You can use RDP to go to your VMs. But if you are the guy who's managing Azure from the behind, the only way to attach to anything there is Windows 10 Enterprise Workstation. Absolutely no other way of doing it. RDP is not allowed, okay? So privileged access workstations. Normal workstations deny access from server admins and domain admins, and the one I mentioned, local account member of administrators group. Servers deny everything from domain admins and workstation admins. Well, domain controllers, we don't have to really secure that much because they are already secured so that only domain admins log on. And a few operators groups as well. So that needs to be in place. Service management. Are you using service accounts? If you are, you need to move to group managed service accounts. Service accounts are one of the easiest things to hack in a Windows environment. So I will want to make sure that you are always using either managed service accounts, which is like the second best option, and the best one is group managed service accounts. You do need to have Server 2012 to be able to do it, okay? Before that, it's quite hard to manage service accounts. So why are service accounts so easily exploitable? It's because you have a service account that runs as a user, but every 90 days, its password gets expired. Trust me, 99.99% of companies I go to, the admin has checked the box never expire. Because the service is running in the background, there's no notification to anyone saying the password is gonna expire, and when it expires, your backups don't run, for example. So admins check that never expire box. Whitelisting is the cheap option. It's the lazy option. Remember, AppLocker is for lazy people. I like lazy. Most of my customers say the totally opposite thing. Whitelisting is so horrible because our bank has 2,500 different kinds of applications and we need to list them. No, you don't. City of Helsinki, home city of a few of you, has an Active Directory that has only 72 whitelisting rules. Takes care of government, hospitals, many schools, kindergartens, and still 72 rules, okay? That's a lazy option. Think about the other guy who's doing the traditional antivirus stuff. He needs to list 1 million new pieces of malware every day. As your colleague since 2009 has added 72 things on the list. I don't know which one you like. 1 million, 72, okay? And that's 1 million per day currently. The amount of new malware per day is currently a bit more than 1 million. So there's no way of fixing this with antivirus anymore. We need proactive solutions like whitelisting. You don't list the bad things, you list the good things, okay? Not working unless you get rid of admin rights. And now if this is a topic you want to learn more about, you'll come to the session tomorrow, I guess. I think it's tomorrow or Thursday. Okay, Thursday. I have a 75-minute session on just deploying whitelisting, okay? I do that a lot. I love it. My best friend, I'm lazy. I like speaking in US, I really do, because you are so much more extrovert and open than Finnish people are. No offense to my dear Finnish friends here. But like in Finland, this would take place so that in 2 weeks I would get the evals and I would know if I did a good job or not. Okay? It's like the session ends and everyone goes away, says nothing to the speaker. They never they never ask any questions because they're so afraid that they ask stupid questions and their colleagues will laugh at them. And here people are like constantly coming to me like, Sami, what a pleasure, thank you so much, great job. I love it, honestly, I really, really like it, that you get that feedback. In Finland, one of the best feedback that I've ever had relates to AppLocker, and I remember it for the rest of my life because it's probably the only time I've had good feedback. I mean feedback. But anyway, I was working for the biggest flower company in Finland. They produce roses and stuff like that. I was building their IT back in 1999. Quick job, built the IT, started to do something else. I built it, but I didn't stay there for a long time. And my ex-boss was retiring now a few years ago. And he called me in and said, we have a new CTO. The CTO is coming from the Finnish harbor. He's worked there before as an IT manager, and he's coming to take over his job. And he would like me to come there and explain why the infrastructure is built like it is, because everything was designed by me. He wanted me to come in and explain the principles. So I went in, I met this guy, and this guy was like, who's very professional, very good IT guy. But I mentioned first of all, I was like, our protection is mainly based on AppLocker. And he like jumped a meter back, like, what? Like, yeah, we use AppLocker. Oh, I think we need to get rid of that. I don't think I have so bad experiences with it. I think we are gonna disable that. And my ex-boss said, sir, would you follow me? Took us to the IT operations room that has these huge monitors that show F-Secure. Okay, F-Secure is our dear antivirus company from Finland, and everyone uses it in Finland, almost everyone. So there's a huge monitor showing F-Secure alerts, like alerts of malware or whatever. Went in, and my boss was, look at this screen. And then this guy goes like, there's nothing to look at, it's empty. Exactly. We do app locker. We do a few things proactively. We don't even have anything on the screen. Before that, they were fighting malware all the time. People were getting things like ransomware. People were getting traditional viruses, Trojan, or whatever. That was really full of stuff, alerting constantly. Now it's empty. It's been empty for years. That's like, I felt so good when like the customer is actually like, that's exactly the case. I was so happy. So I need you to have whitelisting. It's the future. No excuses for those of you who say we only have professional and not enterprise, because AppLocker is only enterprise. Software restriction policies is on Pro. You can use that, okay? There is whitelisting on Pro as well. I'll show it to you tomorrow. Group policy setting updates. Group policy is controlled with group policy. Let's fix the previous issue here. So my computer did not get the remote desktop back, okay? So the policy was gone because that admin was there. So where did we go? Here. So this admin here, and that enforcement will never come back. Except that I will make sure that you have this setting on, because people forget that group policy is controlled with group policy. So there is a setting here, administrative template system, group policy, configure registry policy processing, enabled process even if the group policy objects have not changed, okay? So now a normal GP update, 90 to 120 minutes, will get the setting back, okay? Now it works like I wanted it to work. Now people are like, what the hell? This is a great addition. This is so nice. Some of you showed me that there is an addition like this. When did they put it in? In year 2000. Okay, 18 years ago. Still, many people miss it. Now, why isn't it on by default? And why people are horrified about this setting? This will make logon slower. This will make a logon slower. That's why don't touch that. Yes, 18 years ago. Certain things have changed. Faster networks, faster computers, SSDs. Okay? Many people are looking at group policy settings have these warnings. Same goes for AppLocker when you do DLL listing. It says like, this will degrade system performance. But the warning is from year 2001. But people look at it like, ooh. I was buying VHS cassettes back then. Seriously. My city where I lived had 2 DVDs in the shop where you went to rent videos. Pelican Brief and the other one, not for kids, but I mean, like, the times were very different. But people still are like, no, that's a holy setting put in place in 2000. Do not touch, it's only 18 years, so we should not touch it, okay? It makes your compliance a lot better. It's also in place if you use baselines from Microsoft for Windows 10 Enterprise. The security baselines built by Aaron Marcos's team, those have this already. So it's even the default setting in those baselines. Dma Device Restrictions. Make sure you don't have Thunderbolt 3 devices that you would not block DMA access from when your computer's locked. Thunderbolt 3, I always say, Thunderbolt 3 is the fastest bus ever to steal your memory. It is very good for that, okay? 40 gigs per second, I'll just vacuum your RAM out of your machine like boof. It's a very dangerous bus. Thunderbolt was not an issue for any of us except you Apple people, okay? Only a few of you would suffer from this because only Apple used things like Thunderbolt 2. Thunderbolt 3 is on almost every one of your new PCs. That's the one that runs inside of USB-C. All HP, for example, all of their docking stations are Thunderbolt 3. It is on your table. Check my blog, okay? My blog has an entry on this. Search for DMA. Microsoft hates me. Anyways, this one was, it's a fun story, you have to read through it, but it explains what you need to do to keep your environment protected against DMA attacks. I actually own a group policy setting. The proudest moment of an Active Directory person like me. Last year I had my first ever group policy setting. I own one group policy setting, I'm so proud. Took me 2 decades with this, now I own a group policy setting. Concept of privileged access workstations. Don't allow management from any machine, from every machine. Deploy the concept of privileged access workstations. Don't take it too seriously. Look at 2 Ignite sessions from last year. The other one is just search Ignite privileged access workstation, for example. You see one from Microsoft. That's too hectic, that's too heavy. That's for shooting missiles or taking down data centers. I mean a computer where you press a button and North America 1 goes down. So take the concept. Don't be too strict about yourself. People ask me this constantly, Sami, I have share. I cannot log on as I log on to this machine as a workstation admin, and I need to install things from a server, and that server does not allow workstation admins to log on. That's a real problem there. Like, well, allow it. Put those stuff in one server and allow it there. That's your least privilege. Least privilege is different for everyone. Many times people are too tight. And then security starts to impact usability and productivity, and that's when you lose, okay? Security does not need to impact usability and productivity as long as you put a little bit of money in it. Install Emmet for Windows 7, Enhanced Mitigation Git, or Windows Defender Exploit Guard for Windows 10. Okay, those need to be enabled. Disallow PowerShell from limited users. Blocks every ransomware in the world that ever existed. And Petri hates me for this, but okay. Are you taking care of IPv6? If I come to your network, I'll put a machine in your network, make it an IPv6 router, give IPv6 addresses to every one of your devices, start capturing all of your network traffic without you knowing anything. Because everything still works. Because your IPv4 is exactly like before, so you feel like everything works. But on the IPv6 stack, I can hide there, eavesdrop on you. So I'll take control of IPv6. Take it as a project for your IT. Go back home, say, let's talk about what we do with IPv6. The non-configured, we don't touch it, we don't care is the problem, okay? I'm not saying you have to deploy IPv6 and move to IPv6, but take a stand on it. I mean, just think about what you do.
Actually, we have disabled IPv6 on most of our machines, but notice, I think it was on server 2016 that disabling IPv6, and it was a server core, disabling IPv6 actually brought a lot of problems.
Absolutely. It actually destroys it actually destroys a Server 2016 Essentials installation. You have to reinstall the whole box if you disable IPv6. Do not disable IPv6. That's not the answer. I said take control of it.
Well, on the workstations, we have
Yeah.
like on
Servers.
we have to keep it.
Yes. So take a stand on it. Not saying just disable it everywhere. Honestly, don't. I don't disable it anywhere. I mean, I have it on. I just control it. I deploy it rather than the hacker. Okay? But if you haven't deployed it, the hacker will deploy it, and you don't know. Honestly, PowerShell is just amazing. Just do PowerShell, like, it's just, where's my, it's disable it, and if you can't disable it for persons that, for example, manage Azure with accounts like devs, I always say if you can't block contain, make a PowerShell, make a Windows firewall rule. Say PowerShell is not allowed to connect to the internet. That blocks 99% of all ransomware, because normally PowerShell launches and loads a payload from the internet and does something. Why would it have to talk to the internet? Unless of those machines that manage Azure. There you open it up for Azure. But do you really need to PowerShell to talk to internet? Most of the people? I'm amazed if you do. Okay, I'm 5 minutes over, so thank you very much.